If you're waiting for Toronto condo prices to bounce back, you might be in for a long wait or an unexpected opportunity. The truth is that we're in a buyer's market, and what's happening right now could either cost you thousands of dollars or help you make the smartest real estate move. In this video, I'll break down why I believe condo prices will dip further, the trends that are shaping the condo market right now, and the exact strategies that buyers and sellers need to implement in order to stay ahead. So whether you're a first-time buyer or an investor or someone that's thinking of selling, there are crucial numbers and insights that you need to absolutely be aware of. So by the end of this video, you'll have a crystal clear idea of what's happening in the Toronto condo market and how to navigate it like a pro. My name is Sitzer from Team Sir Real Estate. I've got a team right here in the city of Toronto, and I help clients with buying, selling, leasing, investing, as well as all aspects of pre-construction condos. So if this is your first time on this channel, please consider subscribing for everything to do with real estate. So let's get right into the current market condition first. So as of October 2024's TREB numbers that came out last year, if we look at the city of Toronto's breakdown, we are sitting at 5,884 active listings and 1,162 sales. So what we need to focus on is a metric called months of inventory, which gives us the overall sort of measure of what's happening in the market, the absorption rate, if you will, and that tells us, if we're in a buyer's market or seller's market. So if you divide the active listings by number of sales, you're going to get over 5 months of inventory. And what that means is if no new condos were to come to the market, it would take over 5 months to sell all of these existing inventory. And as of September, which was the previous month, we were actually in 7 months of inventory because we had a lot more listings on the market. So months of inventory has come down slightly. However, we're still in quite a heavy buyer's market. If you look at the sales to new listings ratio, new listings were 3,121 versus sales. That gives us about 37% sales to new listings ratio, which means 37% of new listings hitting the market are selling. So now that we know what type of market we're in for condos in Toronto, and by the way, when I'm referring to Toronto in this video, I'm not just referring to the downtown core. I'm also referring to the city of Toronto being North York, Etobicoke, Scarborough, and all of the different districts of Toronto. But for the most part, every sort of subsection and district in the city is behaving in a very similar way when it comes to condos, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to cover all of Toronto. Now, if you want to break down these stats a little bit further and take a look at number of bedrooms, let's call it the entry-level condos being 1 bedrooms or maybe even 1+ dens, then we're looking at 1,433 condos. That makes up about 40% of the condo inventory that's active in the market right now. So that tells us that the buyers that are looking in this category, this entry-level condos of, typically around 450 to as high as 700 square feet units, for a lot of first-time buyers especially, there's a lot of inventory out there. Almost half of the inventory that's out there on the market right now in the condo space are a lot of these 1 bedrooms. So buyers who are looking in this space will have more negotiating power because of the higher inventory, higher supply, and less demand. Another reason why there's a lot of these condos on the market is because investors love these smaller bedrooms. Anything from studios to 1 bedrooms were the most popular because they were lower entry point and rents tended to be high for these condos, especially downtown core. Now, if we want to break down these stats a little bit further and let's look at the suite types, if we want to look at, let's just say 1 bedroom condos, starter condos, 1 bedrooms, 1+ dens that are pretty popular among first-time buyers, entry-level condos. The inventory right now is sitting at close to 2,500, so 2,439 to be exact as of right now, which puts it at about 40% of all condos that are on the market. So 40% of all condos on the market are right now 1 bedrooms that typically range between, you're looking at 450 square feet all the way up to 700 square feet. Very popular among first-time buyers, entry-level condo buyers. And this was also very popular among investors, which is why we're seeing a lot more of these condos on the market. So anybody that's looking into buying these 1 bedroom suites, 1+ den suites, are going to find themselves with a lot more supply and choices to choose from, which ultimately will give you more leverage to negotiate, get a better price, put in a lot of the conditions, and just have more options overall. And then if you want to look at unit types that are on the larger size, so anything that's 1,000 square feet or more, we're looking at about 1,433, which is roughly around 30 to 31% of all the condos. So, below the one-bedroom suite types, and this is great for downsizers. There's a lot of downsizers right now in the city who are looking to purchase because they tend to be on the older side, and they typically have either no mortgage or they have a ton of equity in their property, which allows them to enter that space, sell and buy and downsize into something smaller, less maintenance, and they have a lot of good choices right now. Now, this particular buyer pool that is downsizing from a house to a larger condo typically aren't as impacted by interest rates, again, because they have a ton of equity or they have mortgages paid off. So for them, they're not so much affected by interest rates, but this is a great time for them to downsize and enter the condo space. Now, what's interesting is when we actually take a look at the number of vacant units in the city. I'm going to get rid of the one-bedroom options here and go right down and check out the vacant properties. So we've got 2,686 condo listings right now in the city of Toronto that are vacant, which is about 47% of all of the current inventory. So nearly half, pretty much half of all of the condo inventory right now are vacant properties. Now, there's a couple of reasons we have so many vacant units right now in the city of Toronto, and one of them is, very simple. A lot of these sellers had purchased pre-construction units a few years back that have now come to completion, and instead of renting it out because they're going to be heavily cash flow negative, they are opting to sell instead, and in many cases taking massive losses. I've done videos on this in the past where a lot of buyers are either walking away from assignment sales and their deposits or just heavily cash flow negative, which is causing them to sell, and in many cases sell at a loss, which is also increasing a lot of the supply because a lot of the sellers are also pretty resilient and they don't necessarily want to sell at a loss. And the second reason are existing investors who've had their condos rented, but due to the interest rates, maybe they had variable rates or they had a renewal at a much higher rate during the last couple of years. They're also sustaining high, negative cash flow, and they're not able to carry that forward, which is again causing them to want to sell, which is increasing the supply of these vacant condos and just condo units in general. Now, if we look at owner-occupied units where the owners are living in condos, that comprises of about 34% of all current units. That means the owners are living there. They're likely have their condos up for sale because they're potentially looking to upsize or make a lateral move into a bigger condo. That comprises about 34%. And then lastly, we've got tenant occupied units. So these are units that are occupied by tenants and where investors are looking to sell while they're tenanted. That comprises of so there's 1,000 units for sale. That puts us about 17% of all current condo units on the market. Tenanted units are typically harder to sell because they're restricted by showings and just the flexibility of showings, and a lot of people that are wanting to purchase, people just prefer to buy properties that are vacant. Tenanted properties just tend to sit on the market longer, which is also increasing some of the supply on the condo side. So now that we have a very clear idea of not just what kind of market we're in, but what is the breakdown of the condos that are on the market, let's talk about who's actually buying these condos. I oftentimes hear people say that, nobody's buying condos right now, which, is not really true, because if we look at the TREP numbers right here, we see that there were over 1,100 people who purchased condos in the month of October. So we know that there are people buying. So who are these people? Well, number one of the biggest pools of buyers right now are first-time buyers. These are purchasers who are looking for an opportunity to get in the market. Even with higher interest rate environment, they're trying to get into that entry level, $500,000 to $600,000 range of one bedrooms, maybe even studios, and in some cases 1+ dens, where now you're going into the $600,000 range or above. They're still able to get in the market with that smaller price point. Investors, on the other hand, we know are not buying properties right now because a lot of these properties are heavily cash flow negative. So for a lot of investors, it doesn't really make sense to buy. But the other section of the market that's buying are downsizers, people who have equity in their homes or who are not affected by interest rates because their mortgages are paid down and they're able to, buy these condos cash, or in many cases just put a much larger down payment so they're not so impacted by the high interest rates. Now, clearly, a lot of the impact that we're seeing on the condo market and the higher inventory and, you know, the prices trending downwards largely has to do with the fact that interest rates have been going up over the last few years. Even though we've had, you know, 3 consecutive rate drops this year, we have yet to see the condo market pick up. We're seeing the low-rise market sort of start to stabilize a little bit, but condo market is still continuing to dip. And again, you know, I firmly believe it's going to dip further. We have not yet seen the bottom of the condo market yet. You know, we've had, just in the 2024 alone, about over 24,000 condo completions come out into the market. And these are, you know, condos that were purchased pre-construction that were ready in 2024 this year, that were completed. And so a lot of the inventory has also come from here. And in 2025, it's projected to be close to 30,000 completions. And this, I believe, you know, go into the end of 2024 and also for the better part of 2025, due to this higher supply and all of the factors that we just talked about, I believe we're going to continue to see prices dipping down because we have higher inventory and rates still being relatively high. I don't believe we're going to start seeing a rebound until perhaps, you know, late 2026 and into the 2027 years. And that's because condos typically take longer to catch up and fall, you know, or trend behind detached and the freehold properties. Second reason why we may see a rebound in 2026, 2027 is because a lot of the projects that were supposed to be released in the past couple of years, including this year, have been shelved by developers because nobody's buying pre-construction condos, and their builders are also affected by higher interest rates. And because of that, we're going to start seeing a shortfall of supply in those years, you know, 2026, 2027, 2028, and so on, because there's just not enough condos being launched. And as a result of that, there's going to be a lot less condos being completed. All of that being said, here is my take, whether you're a buyer. If you're a buyer and you're somebody that's looking at more of a at least 4 to 5 year plan of buying something, then I truly believe this is a great time for you to enter the market and purchase a condo, because over the next 5 years, I do believe the condo market is going to trend upwards overall. And so right now is an opportunity to buy when the market is still low. And it's a great opportunity for you to go pick and choose a condo that you like, the layout that you like, negotiate the terms and conditions, get a better price, and have a overall enjoyable, smooth buying experience. Now, if you're a seller, on the other hand, that's looking to put your condo up on the market soon or over the next 6 to 12 months, I would highly caution and say that make sure you price your property correctly, make sure it shows well, and most importantly, be competitive with your overall strategy. As always, guys, if you have any questions about buying or selling or investing, go ahead and click the link in the description. That'll take you to my calendar page where you can book a date and time where we can sit down one-on-one and talk about whether or not this is the right time for you to buy, sell, or invest. If you found any value from this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And let me know in the comments what you think of the Toronto condo market right now. Do you think it's going to continue to trend downwards, or do you think we're in for a rebound in 2025? Thanks for watching. Take care.